Deep inside the Cathedral of Oviedo, a secret is kept under triple lock and key. This is the Sudarium, a cloth stained with ancient blood. This isn't just a religious relic for the faithful. It is a 2,000-year-old forensic crime scene that science cannot explain. While the Shroud of Turin shows a ghostly face, this cloth shows only trauma. It is a map of a man's final, agonizing breaths. Forensic experts have spent decades analyzing the brownish stains on this linen. They discovered the marks are not paint, but genuine human life fluid. The blood type found on the fibers is type AB, the rarest in the world. This is the exact same blood type found on the Shroud of Turin. Mathematical probabilities says the odds of this being a coincidence are nearly zero. Two separate claws, kept thousands of miles apart, sharing the same rare DNA. The stains consist of blood mixed with pulmonary edema fluid from the lungs. This specific ratio only occurs during a slow death by suffocation. It is the clinical signature of a victim who has undergone crucifixion. The man wrapped in this cloth fought for every single breath. Geometry proves the stains are perfectly symmetrical across the fabric's fold. This indicates the cloth was wrapped around a human head while still wet. The flow of the blood indicates the victim was hanging vertically on a cross. Gravity pulled the fluid down the face in a very specific, traceable pattern. History tracks this cloth back to Jerusalem in the year 614 AD. It fled the city just before the Persian invaders burned everything to the ground. It was carried through the deserts of North Africa by a line of dedicated priests. They risked their lives to protect a piece of blood-stained linen. Eventually, it crossed the sea and found sanctuary in the mountains of northern Spain. It was hidden inside a heavy silver chest known as the Arca Santa. For hundreds of years, the chest remained sealed, feared by kings and commoners alike. Legend says those who looked inside without being worthy were struck blind. In 1075, King Alfonso VI finally ordered the silver chest to be opened. What they found inside ignited a mystery that has lasted for a millennium. Critics today point to carbon-14 dating that suggests a 7th century origin. They argue the Sudarium is nothing more than a clever medieval forgery. But the microscopic evidence found in the fibers tells a much older story. Rare pollen grains from a Judean desert plant were found embedded in the weave. This plant, Gandelia tourneforti, only grows in the rocky hills around Jerusalem. How did a Spanish fake collect dust from a desert thousands of miles away? Modern investigators used 3D modeling to compare the Sudarium to the Shroud of Turin. The result was a chilling realization that science cannot debunk. The nose structure and the beard lines on both cloths aligned with 100% precision. It's as if they were both draped over the same face at the same time. The Sudarium also reveals 141 individual puncture wounds around the scalp. These are consistent with a crown made of long, jagged desert thorns. There are no traces of paint or pigments found anywhere on the fabric. If it's a forgery, the artist used a technique unknown to any civilization. Pathologists noted that the stains on the back match the front when the cloth is folded. This suggests it was pinned to the hair to keep it from slipping. Some believe the cloth was used to wipe the face as the body was lowered. This would explain the smearing patterns seen alongside the sharp blood drops. Micro traces of myrrh and aloe were also detected deep within the linen fibers. These are the exact burial spices described in the ancient biblical accounts. Chemical analysis shows the blood was still fresh when it touched the cloth. This means the victim had been dead for only a few minutes. To fake this, a medieval artist would need a master's degree in hematology. They would have to understand how lungs spray fluid under extreme pressure. The cloth also shows evidence of cadaveric rigidity or rigor mortis. The facial muscles were frozen in a state of extreme physical trauma. Skeptics ask why there is no image on the Sudarium if the shroud has one. The answer lies in the way the cloths were used at different times. The Sudarium was a sweat cloth, used immediately on the cross to show respect. The shroud was the final burial wrap used later inside the tomb. If the Sudarium and the shroud are from the same man, why do the dates conflict? Carbon dating placed the shroud in the 1300s, but the Sudarium is much older. This creates a massive hole in the skeptical argument against the shroud. How can a 7th century cloth match a 14th century forgery with 100% precision? Scientists suggest that the carbon-14 samples may have been contaminated by centuries of smoke. The candles and incense in the cathedral could have altered the fabric's atomic clock. Beyond the dates, The DNA evidence remains the most controversial part of the mystery. Research has found traces of human genetic material, but it is heavily degraded by time. What they did find was a rare Middle Eastern haplogroup consistent with 1st century Judea. This places the victim exactly where the biblical story says he should be. The cloth also reveals traces of calcium carbonate, or limestone dust, unique to Jerusalem. This dust was found specifically around the area where the nose would have touched. It suggests the victim fell face first onto the rocky ground before the cloth was applied. This aligns with the Stations of the Cross, where the victim falls multiple times. Forensic doctors noted that the nose of the victim was broken and pushed to the right. The Sudarium captured this physical deformity in the way the blood pooled in the nostrils. There is also a large stain on the back of the cloth, near the neck area. This was caused by long hair matted with blood and sweat during the crucifixion. Computer scans show that the hair was tied back in a style common among Jewish men of that era. Every small detail confirms the cultural accuracy of the 1st century burial. Skeptics argue that a medieval monk could have just studied the shroud to make a fake, but the shroud was hidden in France while the Sudarium was already locked in Spain. Communication between these two distant kingdoms was nearly impossible during the Dark Ages. There is no historical record of the two cloths ever meeting until the 20th century. Thiesmann's de Forger would have had to travel across war-torn Europe to copy a relic, and they would have had to do it using forensic tools that wouldn't be invented for 900 years. Let's look at the exit wounds on the back of the head again. The patterns show that the thorns were driven in with enough force to hit the bone. This matches the Roman crown of thorns, which was designed not just for mockery, but for pain. The Sudarium is a literal map of torture, written in human blood. Some researchers believe the Sudarium was also used as a legal document in ancient times. It was the physical proof that a specific person had been legally executed. In the Jewish tradition, anything that touched a dead body was considered unclean and usually buried. But this cloth was so significant that it was rescued from the tomb and hidden. Why would anyone risk their life to save a blood-soaked piece of linen? Only if they believed the man it covered was someone far greater than a common criminal. Today, the Sudarium is only shown to the public 3 times a year. It remains one of the most protected and scrutinized objects in the Catholic Church. Every time a new scientific tool is invented, the Sudarium is put back under the microscope. And every time, it yields a new, impossible detail that defies a natural explanation. Some scientists propose a radiation theory to explain the preservation of the stains. They believe a massive burst of energy may have occurred at the moment of resurrection. While this sounds like science fiction, it is one of the few theories that explains the lack of rot. The cloth hasn't decayed in 2,000 years, despite being organic linen. If it's a miracle, it is a miracle that science can actually measure and observe. If it's a hoax, it is the most perfect crime in the history of the human race. The mathematical alignment between the Sudarium and the shroud remains the smoking gun. There is no other pair of relics in history that share such a complex biological link. As we reach the end of our investigation, we are left with more questions than answers. The blood of the victim still speaks, but it refuses to give up its final secret. Is it possible that the face of God was actually captured on these 2 pieces of cloth? Or are we simply looking at a mirror of our own desire to believe in the impossible? One thing is certain: the Sudarium of Oviedo is a silent, crimson witness to history. It has survived wars, fire, and the test of time to reach us in the modern age. Whether you look through the lens of faith or the lens of a microscope, the mystery remains. The blood is real, the trauma is real, and the connection is undeniable. The Sudarium of Oviedo continues to challenge our understanding of life, death, and what lies beyond. It is a puzzle that may never be fully solved by the human mind. The evidence is before you, written in type AB blood and ancient desert dust. You decide. Is this the ultimate relic, or the ultimate historical enigma? What do you think about the Sudarium of Oviedo? Forensic experts say the stains tell a story of a brutal execution, but carbon dating says otherwise. Comment your thoughts below. Is this a forgotten relic or a master forgery? Thanks for watching. If you like these kinds of historical enigmas and deep-sea mysteries as much as I do, make sure to show some love and support. Your curiosity is what keeps these investigations alive. Stay curious, stay sharp, and we'll see you in the next one. Only here on Forgotten Clues.